Welcome back to Behind the Emerald Veil podcast with Alli and Mandy from Soulstar Energy Collective. We are intuitives, we are healers, and we are spiritual teachers here to help bring you closer to your soul, find your gifts, your intuition, all of that fun jazz. That's what we do. That's who we are.
That was so
And
exciting.
was that? Was that?
No.
Rude.
You're
Rude. As well as we show up every week to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, it's kind of like crazy. It's kind of fun that we get to just chat. Like, I love
fun.
talking.
I know you do.
Yeah, I love talking. And
I love
so
listening.
I'm like, and I'm like, and it's just like, oh my God, like this is a thing. We get to just sit here and have like conversations and people actually like it. I'm like, what? This is my best like dream come true. And it's not like conversations like scripted, and because I wouldn't be good with that.
No.
That wouldn't excite me like this does.
I feel
except if people listen to the first 2 episodes or few episodes.
Oh, when your banker voice was on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Things evolve and change over time. We all grow.
I know, because I just think like if somebody listens to more recent ones and then goes back to like our first and they'd be like, who are these people?
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen.
Anyway.
I'd be embarrassed to listen back. I'd be like, oh.
I feel like this episode is going to be literally us chatting something through, and everybody gets to be the fly on the wall.
Well, that's exactly why we came up with doing this podcast, was because we'd have these soul chats, and then it was like, let's just record it. So we are literally having a soul chat. Yeah.
We need to work something out tonight.
Mandy does.
My witch wound is flaring. It's like it's throbbing.
It's pulsating.
It's really loud right now. Stop.
Oh, I just can't. Mandy and I just had a joint reading, and the person commented like descriptive words. Mandy is very good with descriptive words, and I was like, yeah, like the word juicy. You've had that a few times, and I'm like, it's so good.
Thank you.
So good. Yeah, I love your descriptive words.
Thank you.
So what are we talking about?
Okay, so I feel like through October, we were like talking about the witch and the witch wound, and the history of the witch, and really feeling empowered, and like we were reclaiming our power by learning more about the witch and the magic and the energy and all that sort of stuff. Well, I watched this docu-series on Netflix the other day, and
just one episode,
and holy Hannah, it triggered a lot. And it was, so there's I don't want to name the docu-series, and I don't want to name the company, but you can go to Netflix and you can search it for yourself, and then you will know what we're talking about. But it is about, so there's this community, this spiritual community that is very popular currently, and it has, I think I looked on their Instagram and they were at 39,000 followers. And I swear I looked at it like right after I watched the episode, and they were at like, I thought over 100,000. Perhaps they lost that many because of this docu-series. Could be true. I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what it was?
I don't remember for sure. I'm not 100% sure what it was, but right now they're at about 39,000 followers. But anyway, so they're very popular. They have tons of courses. They're teachers. They teach about twin flames. And so there's like a few layers here. And so I was watching this episode, and I was like I don't know, like I think I called you after and I was like, I feel like this is the new age witch hunt, first of all.
Yep.
Like, because this
Yep.
docu-series is painting this company to be like a cult, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
And
this.
yeah, like a cult. And so, but with that being said, I can see both sides of it. So I can see like how this company is, in my opinion, not showing up authentically. And maybe their messaging or the way that they're communicating what it is that their I guess their story is, or what their message is. It's very direct, and
Mhm.
I don't like it. It's making me feel icky. It's making me feel icky. So it has made me feel like I want to recoil, and I don't want to, I can't, like, I don't want to show up on Instagram. I don't want, like, podcasting, like sharing the readings. Like, it's just so much. There's so much going on right now.
Yeah, and I definitely felt that energy,
Mhm.
because she's kind of gone MIA. I was like, where's Mandy? I'm like, is she looking at message? What's happening? And I was like, is this? Because this was over the weekend. I felt it because I like reached out and I was like, hey, how are you? I don't think I ever reach out and go, hey, how are you?
No, you don't.
And you're like, good. And I was
Are you
like, man, was
sure?
I picking up on something different? I'm like, she's like, I could feel the energy that she was in her head about something.
Yeah.
And so I was like, is she still in her head about this episode, like this podcast or what? No, the show.
The show.
And because we really kind of sat there and talked it through type of
Mm-hmm.
thing, but it's obviously was still, and it still is, really bothering you. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of like, how do we get past this
Yeah.
type of thing?
I think the part of it, like I said, there's so many layers to it. The first part of it is like I can see how the docu-series, like, there's always two sides to the story. So I'm not being like, oh, this company is terrible, and
No.
like everybody who's part of this community is whatever. Like, but I know there's two sides of the story. However, from what I've seen in the clips that they have presented, and then also doing my own research and looking at their YouTube and looking at their Instagram and all that sort of stuff, and then also trusting my own energy around the owners of this company and being like it just feels icky to me. I feel like there's a few things here being highlighted. So the first one is like, okay, obviously this is kind of like a new age witch hunt, where if somebody doesn't like what you're teaching or what you're presenting, what you're talking about. So this podcast, for example, somebody who isn't in this energy or understands energy, coming in and thinking that like we're brainwashing somebody else because they're really into this, right? Um,
Hmm.
so then they're taking it a step further, and now they're creating this docu series, or blasting us all over Instagram or all over social media just because they don't fully understand. So we have to be so careful about how we present our messages or how we share these topics, because it could be construed very easily from other people outside of like this community who aren't interested in spirit or energy or intuitive gifts or connecting to the Akashic records or all that sort of stuff. Like, it's so out of that realm. And I thought I was doing so good with my witch wound and showing up and that fear to be seen. I was like moving through it. We have this business, we have this podcast, we're doing reels on Instagram, we're having a good time, we're teaching, we're in community, all these sorts of things. And then bam, I see this business and it's like being highlighted in the shadows. And it, like, again, like, I don't know that it is truly, I feel like it's being highlighted for a purpose, for a reason. Like, it has to it has to change its messaging, because they're like, there's messaging in there on their website that was like, they guarantee that if you take their courses, you will meet your twin flame and be in a union, in a relationship with a twin flame. And I was like, what? Like, that, why would they guarantee that? You can't guarantee that. There's so much involved in a twin flame relationship, or in a twin
Hmm.
flame, like in twin flame in general. And how could they be so bold and to promise something like that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you can't do that. So I'm disappointed in these spiritual teachers who are not being authentic or being true to act like how things actually work. So there's that aspect of it. or it's disappointing that they're making these claims, and then it's all driven by like more money, more money, more money, like take our courses, take our courses, take our courses. And so I can see the
That's
parallel,
yeah.
right?
So that's the energy though that you're picking up from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think to be fair with this can be in any industry. This
Yeah.
can be in anything that we've seen where somebody, you know, take this diet pill and you'll lose. So it's not a uncommon thing
Mm-hmm.
for people in business to say that. So I think like taking that out to be like it's like this spiritual, just spiritual or anything like that. I think it's you can take that with anything.
Yeah.
No company should be guaranteeing anything because
Yeah. I guess like
everybody's
food labels,
individual.
all that sort of
Totally.
stuff.
Food
It's all
labels,
biased.
it's
And
all over the place,
I
you
don't want to
know.
be part of that. Like
No.
I don't want to be in that energy, and I don't want to be part of that. I don't want our business to be part of that. I don't want our message to be guaranteeing anything, because we can't guarantee anything. Like it's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up
Mm-hmm.
to the student. It's all up to the person who's interested in it. Like it's all up to how much work and effort you put into things, right?
Totally, totally. And you know, and like even, you know, I haven't gone to watch this on Netflix because of your reaction to the first episode. So I was like, meh, I don't need to watch it type of thing. But it was, you know, and I think with and I but I have watched things in the past that have made me step back and be like, you know, I think we're so programmed with this cult, you know,
Yeah.
culture. And I do know that there's been times that I'm like, ooh, God, ooh, like we're having these kind of out there thoughts on things. And I'm like, am I gonna look back at this in 10 years and be like, oh my God, I was so convinced and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But that can be said for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Religion can be, you can, devil's advocate can say that's a cult,
Yeah.
but it's an accepted one,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
right?
that's true.
It's an accepted one, and it's an
Mhm.
actually one that, you know, in Canada or in the US or wherever, if you're a Christian or a Catholic, like you're a good person.
Yeah.
You're considered that, perceived as that. So, you know, I think that's but in reality, like not reality, you are a good person whether or not. Like it doesn't that something like that doesn't define you, but anything you can go too far.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you're in a religion that is accepted and people think if somebody's religious that they're a good person or whatever, like that, everything can go too far.
Yeah.
So it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
So, you know, one spiritual teacher, one spiritual business gets highlighted. Okay. So first we need to look at this is the like we don't have there's like first it's like what on Netflix they're going to talk about twin flames like oh my
Right?
god it's coming to the light like you know everybody's you know it's coming to mainstream media that we're starting to now see this happening and it's like yay we're so excited because it's like you know now being known um but then all of a sudden it's obviously casted in a light that is not appealing or good. So now as a you know a spiritual teacher or
Mhm.
in the spiritual community, I'm sitting there going, awesome. We didn't go two steps forward, we went three steps back
Right?
because this is going to maybe make people feel uncomfortable or be like oh my god I heard Allison talk about a twin flame and then you hear like this thing and blah 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 so but that's where you have to be like where's the intention coming from
Mhm.
behind this.
Mhm.
We have talked about how media is so corrupt. We
Yeah.
have talked about how things being presented in the media, the narrative, all of those things are very corrupt.
Mhm.
So if we're seeing, so if let's just say you're the powers that be, and we're seeing this uprise, you're seeing this uprise of people reclaiming their power, people coming back to their spirituality. All these things for decades and decades have been trying to be stifled, and now we're seeing this coming back full force.
Mhm.
What are you going to do? You're going to use the media. You're going to use something that is so easy for every
Yeah.
like how many people have Netflix?
Well, it's just like
and you're going to cast a light on it. You're going to
yeah,
cast, you're not going to pick the one that is of the light. You're going to pick
yeah,
one that maybe you feel you can totally manipulate the story on it
yeah.
and make people feel this certain way. And now this power, this reclaiming of those powers, all of a sudden steps back. How many steps? Because people now, they've seeded doubt, and that
Mhm.
is their greatest tool to do that. And like you said, there's two things to every story. Now I trust what your gut is saying and your energy is saying. I do trust that.
Mhm.
However, but that's because I know you're connected to the energy side. But I'm going to be devil's advocate here again. If it wasn't you that saw it, and say it was somebody that wasn't as in tune to their energy, I would say with any type of media, like you look at reality shows,
Yeah,
and you'll hear afterwards, oh, well, they only showed
yeah.
this and this and this and this,
Mhm.
but didn't show this whole other part. And you're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I had this person casted as the villain the whole time. But if
Mhm.
I had seen this whole other part, it would have been a totally different storyline.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
That's exactly the same thing. If
And
you're
that's
only going in to cast, bring attention to the bad,
mhm.
that's all you're going to see and receive.
Yeah. And that's exactly the intention of the Netflix docu-series, is to cast this company as a cult, or the beginnings of a cult, or whatever, because they're influencing, they're manipulating, they're influencing people's, way of thinking, and telling them that they need to cut their family out if they're not aligned or they're not supportive. And there's like all of these things that touch on things that we have said in the past. However, the way that it is presented in the docu-series, like, because they have all these YouTube clips of their classes and of their meetings and of all these things, the way that it's presented by the owners is that it's within the energy of shame, and the energy of um, like urgency, and like almost like like an order, like, then you don't do that, or you need to do this, or whatever. Like, it's like they're telling them what to do. So I can see how, like, there's just, again, like, so many layers. Like, there's certain things that we have shared in the message, like, okay, so for example, the relationships, as you move along the spiritual journey and as your vibration rises, there might be certain people in your life that you don't really feel like you can connect with anymore, and that friendship or that relationship may fall to the wayside, just because you're not at the same level of a vibration. Well, they say the same thing in this docu-series, except for it is more like, get rid of them, don't talk to them, they'll just go away, or you'll just have to end that relationship. Like, it's more like a,
Yeah, but right there, that's clear as day.
yeah.
That
But
is
see,
clear as day.
but you can see how that, like, that hits in the solar plexus, when you're like, oh shit, like, there's certain there's an undertone, like, there's certain foundations within their community that, I guess, that are similar to the foundations that, some of the things that
The
we know to understand.
messaging, the
The messaging
messaging
is
is
different.
similar, but that's where but how that message is relayed is very important. And we've never told somebody
Ever.
to leave, and if you want to do this, you need to stop being friends with this person or whatever. But we never would,
Would.
because
We
that's
ne-
not who we are.
I know.
We just never would. So that's where I think, like, Mandy, you kind of recoiled and was like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. And in my head, I feel so strongly um, that I'm like, I have never felt like we have crossed an ethical
No.
line. I have never felt, any of that. And so that's where I feel so solid in, when you were kind of like, I'm questioning, like, oh my God, what if we do this? And I'm like, there was not even a part of me that went, oh God, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that I am that type to be like, oh
Yeah.
God, maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was just like, no, absolutely not. I have no fear about that,
Yeah.
because I know to my
And
core that the ethical meter
yeah.
built within myself, built
Yeah.
within you, is so strong. Like,
Yeah.
we were saying this, I'm like, it's stronger in this than it's
Yeah.
in any other part of my life. You know, I can
Mm-hmm.
play in the gray.
Mm-hmm.
I love the gray area.
But
I'm very much, I will push limits and I am a gray area person. But when it comes to this work, for some reason, that is like so,
mm-hmm.
it's a solid line,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't gone there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, so on purpose,
Yeah.
obviously my soul, obviously my spirit guides, whatever it is, has made it on purpose, so I don't fucking worry about, I if we know we are above the line, and if we
Mm-hmm.
know we're being ethical,
Mm-hmm.
we can't control what others say. We literally cannot.
I
That
know.
is, and we can't control how people receive things. And I guess I kind of look at it as like, if we were meant to, if we were all of a sudden meant to be blasted by such and such and blah blah blah, we planned that.
Yeah, that's true.
That was
That
meant to happen.
yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and watch my words. Obviously it's good to be mindful about things, but the thing is, we don't even go there.
No, it's true.
It's not even in our, it's not even our instinct to be like, you should do this.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you
I've
know
never, when we will often, when we're doing a reading for somebody, for example, we will often see in the energy for somebody who's ready to either go on a healing journey or a development journey. And if it does come up, it's always like, you are ready to work with somebody, whether that's us or somebody else, whoever you feel called to work with. We cannot say, you need to take our courses, you need to work with
Mm-mm.
us. That has never
we
been.
can feel we
Feel
can
that.
feel that it would be helpful for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but we always, but again, like, it's, we have it there, you can go with somebody else, you can do it on your own, like,
It's
whatever
free,
it
it's your
is.
free will. But the other thing that gets me is that the participants in this community, um like, where's your discernment?
Mm-hmm.
Where is your discernment if it doesn't feel like, because there were people, they were interviewing some of the people in the community, and people that had left the community mostly, and they're like, oh, I just had to get out of there at some point, but it'd been like 2 3 years of them taking this abuse, or this, it feeling gross, or whatever. Like, where's your discernment? So there's a responsibility that we have, not only as a teacher but also as somebody who's a participant within a community, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that everything feels good. Do you know what I mean? And that
Mm-hmm.
we're not being influenced by our teachers in any way whatsoever. Our teachers should inspire us.
Mm-hmm.
We should
Yeah.
never be influenced by anybody. And that's the other part. Like with Instagram, for example, I have a hard time showing up on Instagram. And I love doing the reels. They're fun. They're kind of like who we are. That's why I like doing the reels. But showing up, and I don't want to influence anybody. I want to inspire people, and that is the difference. I think that's the difference on Instagram, for example. It isn't that way. That isn't the culture of Instagram. It isn't. They call them influencers, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Like all
Mm.
those stupid Amazon, reels that you see, and let's unpack my best home finds for October.
But those are two totally different things.
No,
Yes,
but
there's
it's the
there's
same
people.
energy. It's a
Yeah, but I'm like, I look at like an influencer, let's just say. I follow influencers. I'm freaking influenced all the time, and it's never bad.
well,
I'm always like, ooh, thanks. That's so good. I didn't even know about that. So I wouldn't say that role or that name is necessarily bad. There's always going to be dark and light in anything. And, I follow different people on Instagram, and they would be considered influencers. And I feel like inspired by them, or I trust when they're recommending something because I like who they are as a core. um if I'm following somebody that, like, I'm not going to follow somebody that I feel icky about, like, I'm just not.
no, and
Right,
that's
so I
yeah.
think like, again, I don't think there's anything bad with somebody being an influencer, or even influencing somebody.
Well,
I don't think there's any.
why can't we say inspiring? Like,
Well,
why does it have to
totally.
be influencing?
But it can be, that's the same, it can be very much the same thing. So to me, it's just tit for tat. You can call it inspiring, you can call it influencing, however you want to, call it. I think, again, it comes down to, if this is a genuine person and you feel the discernment is that this is good energy and this is a good person, it doesn't matter at the end of the day if that person is influencing you or inspiring you to take a course or to better yourself or to connect to your intuition or to buy, I don't know, greens plus for your body, and it's a good thing, like the end thing is good. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean they're a bad person or they're vilified, and so I think in that sense, like, even people coming onto our Instagram, I don't consider us influencers. I To me, I just show up to be authentically me, and
Mm-hmm.
show up and say, what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody was like, "Oh no, you're totally an influencer," I'd be like, "Oh, no way, crazy." I'm like, I don't see it like that. Um, so the intention behind the influencing or the inspiring isn't that negative intention, right? Especially if you're not aware of it yourself. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
like, "Ooh, I'm going to say this because I want everybody else to feel the same. And I want people," like, there's a frequency to that. So again, I think that's where, even showing up on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
if you're showing up in that energy or as that person, then I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't want to show up as that person anymore.
No.
But if you're not, it shouldn't feel icky.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the whole thing feels icky to me right now. It's just like a um I don't even like I don't even know. Like it's the whole thing is just gross. I don't know what to say.
So,
It's
like,
and it's
our whole business
not
is
our
gross.
no, it's not our business. It's the way that you have to it's the way that it's the way that it has been created for people to show up. Do you know what I mean? So in order for our business to
I
be seen, in order for us to be seen and for people to learn from us, we are asked to show up in a way that doesn't really necessarily feel authentic to us, right? Like it isn't authentic for us to go on Instagram, and we never post on stories because that doesn't feel like something that we like to do, right?
So
Like
we
it's
don't do it, but
well,
we don't
that's what I
have to
mean.
do it.
No, I know, but also like
And I think, when you say that, I think that right there is a mindset shift. You can choose to look at it as like, we're forced to do these things to get any type of business, or you can choose to look at it as, we have this opportunity that there's these platforms that we can learn so much. If you didn't have Instagram, you wouldn't have found your teachers,
mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have found
It's true.
Angelica,
Yeah.
like, and so we always talk with anybody, our
Mm-hmm.
students, our clients, and we talk about mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
if you choose to look at Instagram as this, and this, and like, we have to show up to have our business this way and this way, then yeah, it's going to come as a negative,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, condensate, what's the word? A negative, whatever, with it. But if you choose to look at it as like, man, I'm like, I get this opportunity and people are actually wanting to follow me and listen to me, like, watch my videos. Wow, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't show up. I don't show up and videotape my day with my kids and all that stuff, because that's just not me,
Yeah.
and that doesn't feel like me.
Yeah.
And so we don't do it, and we don't
Yeah.
have to do it,
Yeah. No, that's true. Do you see how
right?
this whole docuseries just fucked with me?
Yeah, I know.
Like it's messing with my brain so much.
I know. I know. But I've also, it's not the first time I've heard you say this about Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, in those sense, it comes down to mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because I've not once felt icky about Instagram. I'm perfectly fine with being on it. I never do anything I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is why we don't show up on stories all the time, because
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously not we want. And when we do, it's because we want to. And that's, like,
Yeah.
for me, if I show up, it's like, oh man, I got to share this. And it's because I truly want to show up
Mm-hmm.
and share that, or I feel called to share it. But I'm not going to just force myself to sit there and, be like, oh, off with the kids. I don't know. And the thing is, I love watching other people do that.
Yeah.
Like I do. I sit there and I'm so invested and I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing now? Or did they have their babies yet? And I'm like watching all of it and I am so entertained by it. And so I have nothing against that. I love that, but that's just not who I am. I'm not somebody to share I'll share everything on here.
Right. But that's a different way. But like this feels authentic to us because we're literally just sitting here having a heated discussion or a conversation.
You get me all excited, all riled up.
Right. But it's, this is way more who we are, is to be able to just sit here and have a chat about shit. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't, anyway.
But that's where I think like, the mindset shift. We preach it all the time. Mindset is key. You get to choose how you view something. So I think, for yourself, like looking at that with Instagram, it's like you're thinking we are those people, but we've never been those people. We've never done those things. We're not the people.
But that's what they want. That's what Instagram wants you to do. Instagram wants you to be that person, and then
I don't give a shit what anybody wants.
No, that's what I mean, is like in order to grow, to have the thousands of followers, which I don't even
you don't even need
either. I don't even,
well, you don't want or you don't like. To me, I'm like, I am open to whatever. If we are meant to have thousands of followers, then it's gonna happen, and that's fine. If we're not meant to, that's fine. We don't have to. So I wouldn't even close that off as don't want, because if people like, the message that we received from people, from the podcast, from our students, have all been positive, that we have helped. So I have always felt like we've been of service, that we have helped people, and that fills our hearts. So why wouldn't you want, if we are helping people, and I truly believe we are, why wouldn't you want then for thousands, whatever? Like, there's a difference between needing it to validate yourself or just having it because you're helping people on a broader scale.
Well, I guess if we're going to unpack that or break that down, like, I don't need it. I don't necessarily want it. It's not something that that we as a business are like, we're not on like
focused
this
on
regimen of, algorithm stuff. So it's not something that we're focused on.
No.
But if it happened, it does happen. But again, going back to this docu-series, like another one of the layers that it brought up is like, this company is huge. Like it has hundreds of people within its community, maybe even thousands of people within its community, and thousands of people following them on Instagram, and taking like, and I don't know, like if the majority of them or a portion of them or whatever, taking what they're saying, so seriously and to heart. Like there is a great responsibility that goes along with having a community that is that large, especially,
of course, in anything.
In anything. And so one of the questions that I had to ask myself is, this whole time we're like, grow. That's what we're doing. That's what we're striving for. But then this like hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was like, wow, do I want that? Do I want to be a host of a community that large? Like, could I handle all of the good and all of the bad that could go along with that?
And there will be bad. Like there's no way in any business, in any successful business, you're always going to have the bad. And I think, if and when that comes, that will be tough on both of us, because we're both sensitive. And that will be something that will be a lesson, that will be a healing, that will be a learning opportunity for us. We have faced many so far in the business that it's going to be like all the others. It's going to be no different. It's going to be something that we just have to face. And and I think we've been very fortunate that we haven't had that to this date. But you're going to have it. There's just no way around it. And I know, like, that was like there was a big part of that that was my fear of social media when I first, like, opened up a Instagram for my closeted spiritual self.
Wait, what was it called?
Soul centric guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Go find her on Instagram and follow
Don't
her.
try don't try to follow, because I will not accept you. It's still like running. I'm like, but I have no followers. I'm private because I'm like, I don't use it.
No, it's
No.
we like our other posts with it. No, we
Yeah,
use
we
it.
do.
You also use it as like a test thing. So like,
Yes, if I'm doing a post and I want to make sure that it fits in alignment, like in the thing, because I like it to look pretty, I will do it there as a test.
yeah.
Anyways, what was I talking about?
We were talking about the fear of the growth. The
Oh, and like,
Instagram.
oh, and then people like, yeah. And so I remember like when Mandy and I went into business together, and it was like, oh shit, now I'm actually going to be
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram, that my face is there. And it really like made me nervous, because I was like, what if I say the wrong thing? And I still worry about that.
Yeah.
I still worry about, especially when you have hot topics in the
Yeah.
news, and
Yeah.
there's never one right answer, because you're going to
Yeah.
have people on the left, you're going to have people on the right. So it doesn't matter what you fucking say, somebody's going to be mad. And if you say
Yeah.
nothing at all, everybody's bad. And so it was something that I was just like, oh my God. And, we definitely live in a world where the sensitivity level has gone up big
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of feels like at times you can't win with anything that you say, that
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to be offended by it. I see
Mm-hmm.
it constantly.
Yeah.
God, whether it's in my school pack, whether it's just on a mom group on Facebook, and you're like, oh my God, I like, sometimes you feel like I can't say anything. And so I was so worried about that. And I'm sure there's going to come a day that we'll say something and somebody's not going to
Like
like
it.
it. But
Well,
if I know I'm coming of the light, and if I know if I'm coming of ethic, then as long as I know when I'm checking in that meter, and I know that that's the way, then I can't control how people receive it.
and well, that's the thing. It's like I've never like I've thought about that when we first started and we started the podcast and the Instagram stuff like that. Of course, like that's, you want to make sure you're saying things that are, you don't want to offend anybody, right? But that was as far as I took it. Like, I don't want to offend anybody. I was never
Mm-hmm.
afraid to share or to speak until now, where it's not even like I don't want to offend anybody. That's still a thing. I don't want to offend anybody. But now it's like I don't want anybody to take my word like the word of God. Do you know what I mean? And take what we say and live by it, because that is them giving their power away.
But how
And
many times do we say, how many times
we do.
do
That's,
we say
I
in our
know.
courses? Like, I think our students must be like, oh my God, there they go again. We have our recorded lessons and all that stuff. And I don't know how many times
I think like
we will be
every
like, yeah,
every
every
lesson.
every lesson, everything. But it's because we truly believe
Yeah.
that. And it's like, this is how we're receiving it. You may receive it another way,
Yeah.
and that is perfectly normal. Or you may resonate with this and you may not resonate, and you take what.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that didn't come from us in a worried state of like
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. That was natural.
Yeah,
That
very
was a
natural.
natural thing from us. So I guess looking at like this fear, I'm like, there's nothing warranting it within how we've run our business or how
Yeah.
we are as humans to have this fear continue on. It's a low frequency
Mm-hmm.
thing that's popped up that is obviously brought into your awareness for a reason. But I'm like, every single thing that you've said, I'm like, we are literally never done that, or we are the
Mm-hmm.
opposite of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you kind of say, oh my God, I'm so worried to be like these people, but we are nothing like them.
Oh, I know we're nothing like that. And I know that we never
Yeah.
will be anything like that, but and the people that are in our community and our students, they all know that, like they get to experience like our authenticity And, even somebody today posted in, one of our students is like, oh, you said this in the video, but that doesn't really make sense to me. And I'm like, totally do what you need to do. Like, if that doesn't resonate
Oh
for you,
God,
you
we
got
say
to
that all the
do,
time.
yeah, you got to do what feels right for you. So just
Mm-hmm.
because we said it in our video, that's the way that we were taught, that's the way we're teaching it. If that doesn't make sense for you, do what you
Mm-hmm.
feel called to do. Like, we give everybody their own free will and their free reign to do their thing, because that is important, and that's what we're meant to do. Like, how are you supposed to evolve and grow, like, as a soul and into your gifts, if you're put into a box and somebody's telling you exactly how to do it and exactly what to do? Because everybody's unique and everybody has their own way to do things. So we are very much, taking those constraints off and letting you do your thing. We're here to guide. We're here to hold space, and we're here to share the little bits of information that we know in order for you to take off and do that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And like we've said it on the podcast, this is, our messaging, our thoughts, our beliefs are constantly going to evolve,
Mm-hmm.
as we evolve and as
Yeah.
we learn and as we receive more.
Mm-hmm.
And so, year one of the podcast versus now, we've learned more things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you learn more things, you go, oh, okay, and now I totally see what this is, like full circle instead of just one side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, that is intentional on spirit side as well. Like, we're only going to be shown certain things when the time is right. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
show us the whole freaking, cube
Mm-hmm.
of lessons and all the messages. They're going to be like, okay, this is where you're at. We're going to show you one side. And then when you're ready, we'll show you another side. And then we'll show you another side. And it's always going to be that way. So we're constantly going to change and evolve. And like sometimes even with like our lessons that we've recorded,
Mm-hmm.
we can't record them over and over and over again as we change and evolve. But that's why we do the live classes, and we'll say things in there or add videos or whatever, because it is a constantly changing thing and evolving thing.
Yeah.
So, and just like our students will be receiving it in different ways. So yeah, I'm like, I do get in the sense of like the ickiness of like, it really sucks that um this spiritual show shining a spotlight on something that we do believe in, twin flames. And it really does suck that
Mm-hmm.
the objective behind that was to shine doubt and give
Mm-hmm.
doubt to people. um and even with these teachers, again, you if you believe in something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's things that we believe in
Yeah.
and we truly do believe in it.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to say you have to believe in it
Mm-hmm.
exactly the way we believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
but we will share our perspective. We everybody has a right to share their perspective. So if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Just like a Christian has a right to share
Mm-hmm.
their perspective, just like,
Mm-hmm.
any type of religion, any type of, they're going to share their perspective. There needs to be onus on the person receiving it,
Mm-hmm.
that they are trusting their own inner guidance.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a psychic, we say to anybody, like, we're only receiving one part of the story, and you got to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But there is an onus on the receiver to trust their own inner compass if it's true or not.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
somebody's like, how many times have you seen a psychic and it's like, oh yeah, no, it looks like you're gonna quit this job and get this job, and then it doesn't happen, or you're like waiting for it to happen. We should never be giving our power away enough that somebody's words is going to be verbatim. But we've talked about that with
Yeah.
psychics and anything like that, is you never take anybody's word verbatim. If somebody's researched the a vaccine or a something, or there's a disease and somebody's research, you don't just take what they've said. You use discernment and you research it yourself as well,
Mm-hmm.
so I think, again, like there's a bit of onus on the people
Mm-hmm.
that are maybe on camera.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know. Like this could be, some people are like, ooh, Netflix wants to talk to me. I'll say whatever they want me to say. I want to be on TV. Like there's very one-sided. We can't just trust what we're seeing on that camera.
Well, I
These
feel like in this example, in this situation, it is one-sided. It is one part of the story. But
mhm.
I feel like there's multiple layers to the story, and they're just sharing the one side, like one part of it,
Which
not even a side,
sucks.
and not even a side, because it's one part of the story.
It's one
Um,
aspect
and that
of their
was the
business.
yeah, and no, it's the intention was to shine light on this company, on this business, and cast doubt around the messages that they're sharing. Yes, that's the intention of the docu-series, for sure it is. But they could have done different stories or different aspects of that business. I'm sure they could have maybe done a docu-series on what twin flames are. You know what I mean?
Or have they interviewed the people who absolutely did find,
Yeah,
followed,
they
like,
could have.
we don't know if
Mm-hmm.
the group of people that didn't is 5%
Mm-hmm.
and 95% have.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the negative will always be louder
Yeah.
than the positive. And we see
Mm-hmm.
that anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A client's going to call and complain more than they're going to call to praise. And, if so again, we could sit here and go, okay, these spiritual teachers, if they have 95% of their students meeting and having success rate, why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you say, like, I don't agree with saying guaranteeing anything,
No, you
but
can't.
again, though, that doesn't make you a bad person for
Mm-hmm.
saying, but marketing skills,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
we
also the thing. Like we have to be so careful about how you market what you're offering. And you and I have talked about this in the past too. Like, working in the bank, for example, and selling things.
I've
It
never felt like a
me ugh,
salesperson. Blech.
don't call me a salesperson, because
Mm,
that is not who I am. But what we
mm-mm.
are good at and is natural, and it's like, oh, I recognize this could help you, in the
Yes,
banking
yeah.
example. Oh, you're paying $50 in fees. If you just switched over to here, you'd pay $20 in fees instead.
And I
Like
have
that.
no attachment to
No
what you
attachment.
choose.
Yes, yes. And that is the genuine way to present anything that you have to offer, right? So you have to be so careful with how you're marketing what you have, to ensure that you're not like, for us, for example, we don't want to try to sell anybody anything. We
Yeah.
want to we want you to know what we have to offer, because if it could help you, um, then maybe it's for you and maybe it's not.
And that's part of business.
Yeah.
We would be pretty shitty business owners if we were like, did this stuff and we're like, didn't tell anybody about it. And
Right.
I would even say we have been pretty shitty at
Yeah,
that at times,
we really
on
are.
the podcast. I
Yeah.
remember, hearing somebody say, I had no idea you guys did this. And then it was like, wow, we are just great business people. And so, that you have to be reasonable.
Hmm.
Obviously we have our Instagram page to share what we do. It is our business page. We are going to share our business services. That
Yeah.
is part of business.
Yeah.
If we don't share, then nobody fucking knows. And we
Hmm.
might as well just put closed on our door.
If you're interested,
um,
message us.
yeah, but yeah, so I'm like, yeah, but again, like, but we've always, even our approach in business,
Hmm.
we've cut, we've experienced where there's certain ways that certain people approach doing business and approach it, and can be like very strategic, or um like, I don't know,
Salesy. Very
salesy, and
salesy.
I've just, and I've come across different people where it's like, well, you do this and it's sneaky in a way. And it's been like, we've been like, you know what, that's
No.
not us.
Yeah.
And so I feel like our ethical meter is just so freaking loud. There's
Yeah.
no way we can even go off track.
Hmm.
But, I think with anything, and especially, with money, when money's involved, um, there's always that line
Yeah.
to make sure, because desperation and stuff can come into that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all susceptible to that. Even
Mm-hmm.
us, we
Mm-hmm.
are susceptible to that, especially if you are in a crisis or anything like that. We are susceptible to that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing I think with us working in a bank
Mm-hmm.
that we've been very made aware of, just in the sense of like, you don't help friends and family because emotions can get involved. And if somebody is panicked and you want to help, like you could do something dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself with, it's so drilled into you in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
so drilled in because again, people when they're desperate can do desperate things,
Yeah. Yeah.
and nobody's above that. And so that's where I even remember like a client like trying to give me money. Can you deposit this in my bank account? And I'm like, nope.
No.
I'm like, because again, I never want to put myself in a position that
Mm-hmm.
me walking from my office and going to the tellers and all of a sudden the client saying, well, I had 120, not 100. And now, and who, nobody can, I've put myself in the position to be like, no, you have 100.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's casting doubt. I never want to put myself in that position.
No.
So, I think having that ethical line with the bank is also probably instilled into
Yeah.
us a lot,
Yeah. 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 I feel
right?
like part of the purpose of this, you know, being presented to me in the way that it's been presented to me in the way that I've reacted to it. Like there's a few reasons, that we've discussed already, but also like I think I think that business is being called part of that business is being called to be done differently. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
there is no need to create doubt or urgency or shame um, around, taking a course, or you're not going to, if you don't do this, then you're not going to get this. Like the messaging and the energy around selling a course or selling a community or whatever it is, like that all has to change. And it needs to be from the heart, genuine.
mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
I genuinely believe that what we have to offer will help people release a lot of the anxiety and the discomfort that they feel in their lives, because they're going to, we say reconnect or reactivate their soul gifts. But there's this connection that happens along that process, and a healing that we take very seriously along that process as well. And if everybody, if everybody who had something to offer just shared it from their heart with this genuinity or this genuine energy, I feel like the whole industry, the whole world, like everything would change. Do you know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? And I feels like it just has to be done. Like it just, like let's just change it now. You know what I mean? Like
Your star seed is showing.
yeah. Well, I feel like you and I do it very well, where
Yeah.
we just show up and talk about what we do and what we have to offer. I can see
But we've
how
but we've also been, but
I can.
I feel like when you say the urgency, um because we've also felt that urgency from spirit,
Mhm.
and maybe we have relayed messages because we're just feeling the energy from spirit of like, like when we read for somebody and all of a sudden spirit's been like, I've been waiting for this person to come
That's true.
online,
Hmm.
tap tap tap, I'm getting frustrated here, all we're sharing is what the energy of the other side is sharing.
Hmm.
But again, somebody could take that and we're just it's coming through us.
Yeah.
And somebody could take that as like, oh my god, I need to do this, like blah 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 blah. But that's something we have, as we grow, have
Mhm.
learned, okay, that is the spirit realm in general.
Yeah.
They can come across as like, let's do this now. And
Hmm.
it's like, there is no urgency, or
Hmm.
maybe they're kind of like, we really want this, but there's a difference. And so we have said that
Yeah.
in the past, and that's just where we've been and
Hmm.
what we've received. Now we still receive that energy, but now it's kind of like, or even the recipient has received the energy in urgency, and it's like, We
It's
totally get
okay.
it. It's okay. We've gone through this. So, it's like, can you please do this tomorrow? And I'm like, stop. And I'm like, you can hold up and wait.
Yeah.
But also I'm kind of mean to my spirit guide. But still,
He's kind of mean
you're
to
the
you too.
boss. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are the boss.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to, and part of the reason I feel like this company has been highlighted is so that they will change their ways too. And that's what I was kind of receiving from spirit, like when I was like, what is going on? Because obviously I went in and I was like, what is happening here? And there was,
Well, and are you asking why they're like, it just feels like spirits brought this to you.
yeah,
It's
there,
highlighted it so strongly for you for a
yeah,
reason.
and it is because, so part of it is the witch wound.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is healing the witch wound and my fear of being seen, and being, big or whatever, like really being seen, not just being seen like by a small group of people is like being seen. So
Yeah.
that is, and so I was like, oh, so then they were like, is this truly what you want? And then what I was receiving was like, like I have to make a choice. Can I handle that growth that this business could potentially grow into? Like, could I handle it? And yes, the answer is yes, I can. I have to make sure for myself that we always stay above the line and that there's never any gray area. If we're ever questioning, you know, is it like ethical, like this could be a gray area, the answer is no, it has to be above the line. We always have to stay above the line, which is fantastic because that's how we've always been, that's how we've always been operated. But I could see how things grow, and if they grow rapidly, how being in that gray area, we could get sucked into that gray area very easily, or we could just kind of jump over a decision without truly feeling into it. Right, because things are happening so quickly. But also I was receiving that I've like don't have a choice because this is what I set up for my soul in this lifetime. And moving through that rapid growth or moving into growth within the business is, there is going to be some of that we talked about, like there's going to be, hard parts of it, but that is going to help me heal my witch wound. And that's part of what I chose to do in this lifetime, is to reclaim my power and step into my power and share my gifts, but ultimately to allow myself to be seen in this way. And that's just kind of how it was kind of like a pre-warning, I think, like just a pre, like, hey, not that that's going to happen to our business at all, but it was like just make like this,
I'm out.
this could be right. And I was like, that's what I was like. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done.
You did feel, I asked you if you were feeling that and you said no. And I said, I was like, anytime I can feel the energy shift with you, I'm like, I get scared that she's gonna be like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, so you were feeling that.
No, it was, I think more of a split second. Like it's a reaction, like a fight or flight, right? And it was like that was like a flight reaction.
I feel like spirits brought so much up for you lately.
Yeah.
Like they are grilling you.
It's very, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's for a purpose, and I understand it. Like I can see the higher perspective. And I'm moving through it quickly, in the sense of like I'm moving through it intentionally. Like I'm sitting with it, I'm doing the work, I'm receiving, I'm asking, I'm doing the healing, I'm journaling, like all the things that I do to move through it. But I need to move through these things. It's almost like it's a time crunch, it feels like.
That's why they're like just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about this before. It feels like mine was in the first year of business where, I was being faced with a lot of shadows and triggers, and things being brought up that I was like, ooh, insecurities.
I feel like you're just like, like a shaker, and you're just like being rattled around.
Yeah. And I'm like, my insecurities was highlighted big time. And now I'm like, I don't even know. Sometimes I'm like, what's going on?
You're just like on easy
I feel
street
like
right now.
Yeah. And I just feel like this like old oracle that's just sitting here being like, but this is blah, blah, blah.
It's
Da,
so
da,
easy.
da,
I remember being that way
da.
with you last year.
I know, you're like, Allison, you just do this. And I'm like, but I don't know like that. And now I'm sitting here being like, Mandy, we just let it go.
Just surrender and go with the
Just
flow. Fuck
ooh.
you.
Fuck you, bitch. At least your guide's nice and doesn't give you mean. My guide was not nice to me during that.
Well, that's because you didn't go in very often.
Yeah, but even if I did, he would be like, he would be so harsh.
That is true. He's not fluffy.
Very blunt. Yeah. Just blunt and to the point.
Yeah. There's no softness to him at all.
No.
Maybe it's because I'm so sensitive that I need a soft.
Oh, you'd cry every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably.
You'd be like this, and I'm done.
I'd be out. You can't speak nice to me. No.
Oh, so that means I'm a hard warrior. And I'm like, you can beat me up all you want, and I'll keep coming back. But not without flipping the bird a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having a tantrum.
Sometimes you just need to, though. Right?
You do. Sometimes you do. Like, oh God, I just remember that one message you gave. It was a
do we need to rehash this?
It was a threesome reading. Threesome reading. So like the worst type of thing that could possibly be. And I'm like, because then like I showed my reaction because I was not happy with my message. And so like poor Lisa was like sitting on there, and all I could think was like, I need to get the fuck off here.
Well, I forget what was the message. Do you remember?
Oh, it was
so I did a quick reading for Alli. She did one for Lisa. Lisa did one for me, and I think it was
supposed to be year aheads. And then I was like, I don't want a year ahead. I kind of feel like it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I didn't really want to know. And I said, I just want a message or, anything from my guide. And I think he basically just had like a hard message for me about like, he's wanting me in there and doing more. And this is where that urgency comes in, where we can receive this, where he was getting frustrated with me and was wanting me to do more meditations. I forget all of the things. It was like releasing things.
It was like you felt like you had already stepped it up and you were already doing a lot, but the message was that you weren't doing enough. I think that's
and I was like,
you were so mad.
You and I literally said it like that to him. I remember getting off, like I think I cried on it. Right?
I think it was a whole weekend of crying, was it not?
Well, I think I cried on the thing because I think I was pissed.
Yeah.
Or maybe I didn't cry, but I was pissed. And it takes a lot to piss, like to get me pissed. And I was sitting there just boiling. And and I remember getting off. And yeah, I did cry the whole weekend. It was, we call that a dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
But I remember walking into my bedroom right after this, and I flipped my birds up to the sky where I see him looking at me, and I'm like, fuck you. And I was like trembling with it. It felt like my teenage self when my dad would say, Allison, clean your room. And I'd be like, I am. You get that like feeling where you're like so mad. And so I felt that, and I was just like shaking, and I was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And I was like, I'm done. And I just cried, and I just cried.
You quit Spirit that weekend. I've done that before.
Oh, I was like, I'm fucking done. Yeah. I'm like, if you don't think that's good enough, then I'm fucking done. And then my family was like, what's going on? And I couldn't say.
My spirit guy
to my non-believer husband at the time, I'm upset because the spirit guide said this to me. Like he would be like, okay, and like and how upset I was, he would want to lock me up. And I'm like, so yeah, I don't even know where that was a tangent.
That was a tangent.
That's okay. Can you hear my bird?
Now that we're silent,
you could.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like a bird though.
I was like, shut up, Charlie. So loud. And I'm like, I'm trying to do this whole be quiet podcast thing, and then he just starts blubbering away out there.
Maybe if you had your audio proper,
I
You
don't know how
wouldn't
to
hear
do
it.
it.
I
I
know.
don't know how to do it. Actually, you wouldn't want it. I'm too loud.
Yeah.
If that right by my mouth there,
You can touch it. It doesn't work.
I know. I could touch it, but if that was right by my mouth
Yeah.
and it was an active mic, I would be blasting people's ears all over.
True story.
True story. I
You
do it in
blast
real
my ears.
life.
Yeah, you blast my ears.
I know. I know. Okay, let's wrap this up.
Okay, so I feel like that was a really heavy conversation.
we got spicy.
We did, and it
Were
was
we?
like, I don't know if it was
I
spicy,
don't
but
know
it
if it was
was
spicy. Did I trigger you at all?
no, no, you did
No.
not trigger
Okay.
me.
Okay. Well,
I've worked through my
okay.
triggers. Thank you. It's like
See,
this
guys, this is a true
docu-series.
example of how, we are working together, two females,
Yeah.
healing the sister wound, which we are going to have a little series on about being in female entrepreneurship and partnership together. Lover. I don't know why. I'm just always gonna say that just
We're lovers.
randomly.
You need
Just
to
gonna
go
drop it in
go check
randomly.
in. You need to go read that past life if we were lovers in a past life, and so you
Oh,
can
we
actually
were.
share the story.
Of
Share the
course we
past
were
life.
at some point. I'm like, I just loved
Were you the man or the woman?
I was definitely the man.
Yeah, definitely.
I was definitely the man. I'm like, for sure.
Oh my God.
All right. So you can, find us on Instagram. We
Only if
swear
you
we're
want
not
to. Just
cheesy.
kidding.
Shut your mouth. Only if you want to. You know what? You should only be doing anything if
If
you
you
want
want
to,
to. Yeah.
ever.
So true.
So we are on Instagram, Soul Star Energy Collective. We have a free community that is not icky. And if you think it is, then let us know. Which is Soul Star Lightworkers, and it's on the Mighty Network. So it's an app you can download. I love apps. Yeah. And anything else, Mandy? Mandala?
Yeah. We have we're going to be opening registration for our soul activating journey in that will start in January. So that is our 6-month container where we take everybody through all of our courses. We start with the foundations of connecting with your spirit guide, and then we learn how to read or understand energy. And we connect to energy.
Language.
Yeah, what your spirit language is. And then as we practice through that, we move into the Akashic records, and we teach you how to access your Akashic records through a journey, not through that prayer. And then we end with healer, and that is where we're talking about triggers and fears and all that sort of thing. And Soul Star Healer is a beautiful course filled with I guess modalities and ways to work with the energy of that and work it out. Right?
Work it out.
Work it out.
Work it out.
It's full of guided meditations. We love it.
Yeah, we do love it. And we truly do. I feel like every cohort that we've taught, we've become friends with everybody. It just I always struggle at the end. I'm not good with goodbyes anyway.
She's always like, you say goodbye.
I am so awkward. I just want to be like, bye, and run away because I still want to be there. But I struggle with that part because it's you feel close,ness. You create a bond with everybody when you're spending that much time together. So we love it. So yeah, that's it. And we'll be teaching Reiki virtually. So that'll be in January 20th and 21st. And there'll be lots of fun.
Yeah. And everything is on our website and linked in our show notes. All right.
You guys shut it down before I get weirder.
Yeah, she's making things awkward. So
she's making things awkward because we're getting to the goodbye part.
We will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.